Here we are in the planar image registration subGUI, which we've accessed from the planar region selection subGUI in the tools menu. And we can see each of the organs, the regions that we investigated in that previous video show up in this pop-up menu. So we have the left kidney and tumor. We also have the total number of whole body scans that we loaded for this patient. Now the purpose of this registration subGUI is to line up the left kidney and tumor at those 3 time points. So we start by just choosing a reference image. This can just be the first scan, and if we're looking at the left kidney again, we want to consider the posterior view. So if we plot that, there is our left kidney, and a 50% threshold has been applied to that original region that we can see, which we drew in the planar region selection subGUI. Now we can take a look at what the other time points look like before registration. So here's the left kidney at the second time point. You can see it's not quite lined up. And at the third time point, this is what we have. So to register these 3 time points together, we just go into our auto registration options panel, and for registering just the kidney, so not doing the kidney and the tumor together, just the kidney, we can choose a single region, we can turn rotation on, and we can press go. Now we can see the counts adjusted a little bit in this table of anterior and posterior counts, and if we look at this second time point once again, we'll see that it has shifted 1 to the left, 3 pixels up, and it's gone through a clockwise rotation of 6 degrees. Now, the next step that's very important is to actually store these results of the planar image analysis into our patient database. So the results that we're going to store are the results in this table. So this is showing us the time since injection. It's showing us the anterior and posterior counts within this segmented region. We also get those background counts that we got from drawing the background regions in the previous video. There's also some options to change the scan duration, also the sensitivity of the camera. So this duration just corresponds to the scan time per pixel. So with the table speed that was being used for this particular whole body acquisition, that table speed corresponded to 2 minutes per pixel. So to store all of this data into our database, which is the test patient number 2, we just press the store button. So now all of this data is going to be accessible from the main GUI. Now, just to demonstrate the use of these data sets, which is talked about in the manual, we will redo the segmentation using a different threshold, and we'll save the results in a second data set. So what we can do is just refresh the data for this patient. Now we can see that it's ready to load data into data set number 2. We can change our threshold. Let's try a threshold of 25%. Now if we replot the image at the first time point, now we get this region segmented using the 25% threshold. You can take a look at what that looks like at the second time point. And we could go ahead and register those regions together. And we can store this data into data set number 2. So again, it's storing the data in this table. And it's going to use these anterior and posterior counts for the conjugate view method for plotting the time activity curve for this left kidney. So we can move on to the tumor. Again, we can use the first scan as the reference image. That tumor showed up better from the anterior view, so we'll use the anterior view at the first time point as a reference image. We can go back to a 50% threshold. We can take a look at what this looks like at the other time points. So here's the tumor at the second whole body scan. And again, we can see some registration is needed. So again, we just need to press the Go button. When it's done, these values will change a little bit once this shifts. So if we want to look at the results of that shift, we can plot the second image again, and we can see that it's more lined up. And we can store those results. This is going to be the first data set we've saved for the tumor. So we can store. And now we're ready to view these results from the main GUI. Just like the last video, it's important at this point to just save our progress. So we can just save over that test2 file that we began. So this is just the results of our planar image processing. So we'll save that. So at any time later, we can come back and resume our planar image analysis. We can add on more regions that we might be interested in drawing 2D ROIs for. And all of that can be accessed from the procedure menu in the main GUI. So we'll move back now in the next video to the main GUI, where we can get a summary of the results we've obtained so far for this patient.